Tonight's feature, the youth that participated in the panel discussion on the topic of the Treaty of Concordia. Minister of General Affairs says that it seems that she is in the middle of a fight that doesn't pertain to her. And Minister of Health addresses what is currently unfolding on our sister islands. Those are the headlines for Wednesday, March the 24th, 2021. Good evening, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast prepared, so let's get started. In our first story, Minister of Health, the Honorable Richard Panafleck, gave an update on the COVID cases currently on the island, as well as the COVID vaccination campaign at this morning's Council of Ministers weekly press briefing. The health minister also took the opportunity to address what is currently unfolding on our sister islands of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao. The minister said that we are now seeing that the younger age group of 18 and above are also being affected.
As of March 23rd, CPS is reporting 21 active cases, 43 persons in quarantine, and an overall of 2,108 confirmed cases since the pandemic started. I want to take this opportunity to address what is currently unfolding on our sister islands. The ABC, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao, are currently dealing with research of COVID-19 cases due to the UK variant as cause of concern. While we have had reports of the variant of the French side of the island, CPS continue to conduct surveillance and additional variants circulating on the Dutch side. I would like to ask some extra attention on this point. Why are we bringing over what is happening in Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao? This is to show that the world is all interconnected. And we have to be very careful in the way we go about our daily life to make sure that we do our best to avoid infesting others through improper behavior. As you well know, right now the UK variant is not only detrimental and bad for those of higher age. We see right now out of the figures that the younger ones right now are affected by this variant and are even, like in Curaçao, in ICU units. So please adhere to the protocols that has been set out for you. With our borders open, we have managed to keep our cases under control and hospital admissions have been minimal. I'm calling on everyone to continue be responsible and follow the public health measures which will keep our cases at a manageable level. We are now in the 5th week of our vaccination campaign, and I'm delighted to report that after deliberations with our counterpart in the kingdom yesterday, it was decided that the Dutch Caribbean territories can roll out vaccination to the general public. That means from 18 and up. This decision will have a positive impact on our campaign, as there were many individuals who signed up to receive the vaccination that were not yet eligible based on the priority groupings. The ministry, together with the vaccine management team, will ensure that all persons who are registered get vaccinated. I'm encouraging the public to register for the vaccine through our online portal or by visiting select location to pick up a paper registration form. Paper forms are located at the Government Administration Building, all doctors' offices, at CPS and pharmacies, the Community Health Desk in Dutch Quarter and Cole Bay, and the vaccination location at CPS and Bel Air can also accommodate persons who would like to register directly at each location.
In continuing now with other news, the Central Committee meeting of Parliament, which was reconvened on Friday last, March the 19th, took a different turn. At said meeting, which was adjourned on March the 1st, 2021, where members of Parliament was to discuss the country reform packages, priorities, and objective measures, which was on the agenda to be debated. However, the discussion took a different turn as Prime Minister the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, who sat in the capacity as Minister of General Affairs, was ambushed and was asked by Member of Parliament for the United Democrats, Mrs. Sarah Westcott Williams, if she shared the conclusion by the State Secretary regarding the reference to the draft cohort law in the petition sent by Parliament to agencies of the United Nations. Meanwhile, other members of Parliament, which included MPs Rayon Peterson, William Marlin, and Grisha Heiliger Martin, also addressed the issue of the Constitutional Affairs and Decolonization, the CCAD.
We, of course, received from the hand of the Prime Minister's office, we received the letters that were sent by one, State Secretary Knops, and secondly, a response by the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister, my question in that respect is that the State Secretary Knops has made a certain assertion, has taken a certain position with respect to the cohort statement in the petition as already submitted on behalf of Parliament. Question, Prime Minister, do you share the conclusion by the State Secretary regarding the reference to the draft cohort law in the petition sent by Parliament to two agencies of the United Nations?
A petition was sent to the foreign law firm, Coharis Law Group, to investigate systematic discrimination and racism perpetrated against the people of St. Maarten by the Dutch state. This petition, and I quote, was on behalf of the Parliament and the citizens of St. Maarten. For this petition, an amount of $14,000 was allegedly paid. Actually, according to the document we received this week, it seems that this is actually half of what I presume to be a retainer amount. So here we have the Parliament of St. Maarten deliberating salary cuts, budget cuts, passing several laws to save money, but yet we choose to waste this amount of money on a foreign law firm for an advice that we were not even allowed to ask for in the first place.
Mr. Chairman, it is no public secret that when the cohort was first mentioned, that all hell broke loose in the body politics in St. Maarten, in the political arena. Everyone was basically against. Absolutely not. No poor. That kite can't fly. And that prompted Parliament to tell the Prime Minister, you go ahead, but make sure that this thing does not infringe on our laws, on international laws, arrangements and regulations. What comes center stage in this whole thing that we are not talking about is the need for a dispute regulation as mandated by the Kingdom Charter. This is an opportunity where a dispute regulator or a dispute regulating body would have come in well to play.
Approximately a third of the parties, so about 5 of them, were pro-coho, pro something they don't even know anything about, namely Par, Man, DP, Kumong, and Vishong, stated that they are pro-coho. For the most, 2/3 majority of the parties that was contesting seemingly was against it. The statements that was made, that some of them said an emphatic no, because remember coho was CRE. And I remember this entire Parliament, all 15 of us, sending out a unanimous motion stating we are against the CRE, go back go back and renegotiate, send back another proposal to Knops because we were against it. Then it moved into coho. It became coho because of Curaçao. unanimously, yes, MP. You keep shaking your head, but you were there. I will send you the IS on that. Some said they don't know what the Raad van State is busy with, because it keeps changing and changing and changing. I don't know if the rumors, and maybe the Prime Minister can elucidate on this later on, but I was informed that 2-3 times, on 2-3 occasions or more, it was sent back to BZK for questions, or that they had seemingly a fundamental issue with it. Some of them a lot of them stated that they want to renegotiate the COHO if they get into government. Renegotiate it, something that they didn't even see. Some said that they don't want to live under colonial rule. Yes, in Curaçao they are saying that too. 2 of 3 parties said that the COHO will be cara pa Holanda, lomba pa Curaçao. That means facing Holland and you're back to your country. 2 or 3 parties stated that. Some believed that they have enough resources locally to overcome the economic crisis, but they're being blocked. Some believe that the landspakketing that's being proposed by Holland will impoverish their people. And yet, when a majority in Parliament here mentions the word decolonization, colonialism, United Nations, it is refuted with nonsensical rhetoric and basic statements. All because a majority in this Parliament is asking for equal rights and equal opportunities for their country. Remember, the little vague information we've been told about the COHO is what we ran with. We don't know much about it. We're told that 3 people that will be representing Holland. Holland will appoint 3 people. Curaçao made the amendment stating that 1 of the 3 they will be appointing. And you're not sure. You're hearing 7 years. So we're not sure of what's happening here. So what's wrong with this Parliament asking for a little more advice?
Meanwhile, the Honorable Prime Minister, Sylvia Jacobs, in addressing the question that was posed to her, said that it seems that she is in the middle of a fight that doesn't pertain to her. The Prime Minister said that although she cannot answer all the questions from the top of her head, she will allow the organization the opportunity to supply the necessary answers that have to be asked, and would like to reiterate 1 or 2 things. She expounded further.
It seems that I'm here in the middle of a fight that is not pertaining to me. As I listen to the members of Parliament butt and rebut each other on their statements, on their opinions, it is with its understanding, it's with interest. And I must say, in the interest of all of this, I've taken note during my drive to work, whether it was this morning or yesterday morning, that a young lady, in seeing the confusion going on around St. Martin about these topics, decolonization, what a rapporteur is, what this UN rapporteur is, what this process is about, she decided to form an information platform whereby they are taking questions from the community and researching the answers to be able to answer to the people based on the terms that have been bandied about over the past 2 weeks since this petition has been put forth. Mr. Chairman, I indeed cannot answer all of the questions off the top of my head that have been posed. Some of them still go back to the NRBP situation and others, but as MPs find that all these topics are intertwined, I will allow the organization the opportunity to supply the necessary answers as have been asked. I would like to reiterate 1 or 2 things. Everything, when we talk about spinning, any document can have a statement repeated out of it and be taken out of context and be highlighted. And I think that has been done over and about throughout history, and even during this period of the negotiations, quote unquote, moving forward to where we are today with this COHO. I mentioned that I had a phone call with the State Secretary on Tuesday. Y'all, I losing quorum?
Yep. Go ahead.
I
Kim.
mentioned that I had a call with the state secretary, who was very amicable in that discussion and mentioned the 2 points as came forth, or one of them at least came forth in this letter. One being the meeting with the other prime ministers to discuss the way forward, seeing that he had received the Council of State's advice, and the other being our stance as government and parliament regarding the movement forward. Now, parts of our letters were read, but Mr. Chairman, I think the important parts were not. Let me go back to the letter of the State Secretary itself, which is in the possession of each and every member of Parliament. And by the way, the letter wasn't leaked to Parliament. The State Secretary requested it be sent to Parliament. In keeping with this, the State Secretary says, and I will read it as he wrote it, what he wanted was some kind of confirmation of de steun van uw regering voor het landspakket en het traject voor totstandkoming van de Rijkswet COHO. I think people are just pulling one word out of that sentence and saying approval of the COHO. What this parliament gave me in December, and what I reiterated in my letter, was the fact that I had the approval of a majority of Parliament to proceed with the country package and the steps towards the realization of a COHO. The traject. The traject includes having a Council of State advice and the government of St. Martin collaborating with the others who are party to this consensus law to come to an agreement as to the way forward, taking part in another report, etc. Curacao, Aruba, and St. Martin, all three countries, had questions, had concerns, were against the manner in which this law was enforced. We all subsequently, through 2020, at different points, agreed based on our liquidity position. In my response, Mr. Chairman, I responded, so at no point did he say agree to the law as is. The trajectory towards the realization of the law. Now, he also mentions that if this support is missing, also it ontbreekt, right? That based on our current mutual agreement signed in December, which mentions in the clause, as you remember, you all asked me, is there a way out of this agreement? And I mentioned yes. Both countries have a way out of any agreement. And it states that if we do not live up to the conditions, that we can end the agreement.
And still to come, independent member of parliament calls governing coalition deceitful politicians with no plans for the country. And I'll have the details to that story and much more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hi, I'm Switch.
And I'm Save.
And together we're here
to tell you about WIB, Switch, and Save Mortgage Offer.
Now at WIB, you can save and benefit from great specials when you decide
to bring your mortgage to WIB.
When you switch, WIB will offer you
payment of penalty fees up to 3 months interest,
payment of notary fees,
waive of bank closing fees,
and also the lowest interest rate.
Plus, you'll have the chance to win back 1 year of interest payment.
Visit any of WIB's mortgage specialists and benefit from WIB's Switch and
Hey, that's my part. And Save Mortgage Offer.
WIB, your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. As we continue now with other news, Independent Member of Parliament, the Honorable Christophe Emmanuel, is calling on the people of St. Martin to recognize the governing coalition and the Prime Minister for what they are, deceitful politicians with no plans for the country. He remarked, by now, based on their actions over the past 2 weeks, including disastrous appearances on radio and social media, it should be more than clear to the people the type of empty representation they have in government. He specifically made reference to the issue of the United Nations petition that was supposed to, according to him, focus on decolonization. The Independent Member of Parliament spoke to the Voice of St. Martin's news department.
If I'm saying things that is untrue or not factual, then I always stand to correct what I'm saying. But I'm asking the government and asking the people of St. Martin to look at the situation and what are the plans? What is it concretely are you hearing from this government, from our government, where we are going to take this country? Even there is no plan. There is nothing. And basically what we are doing is sitting back and waiting to see where the coho and the tree packages, the country packages are going to go. We are waiting to hear from CONUPS. But in terms of the government of St. Martin outlining and saying this is the direction that we are going, you're not hearing anything. You're not hearing nothing at all.
In a press release issued over the weekend by your person, you also highlighted the petition that was supposed to focus on decolonization and how it has further exposed rifts within the governing coalition. How do you think that this probably has distracted the government from the core task that they are elected to do?
Well, the thing is this, right? You have to ask the question direct to the Prime Minister. Do you support the governing individuals, which is the initiators of the petition? Do you support the petition? Yes or no? And it's a direct question that the Prime Minister needs to answer. Because you cannot play this game, and it's a dangerous game that they're playing. Because here you have Member of Parliament Grisha Hyler Martin, and then you have Ludmilla Duncan, who are part of the coalition and part of the Prime Minister's political party as well from the National Alliance, are the initiators of the motion that brought about this petition. And in the petition, it is stating that they want to do away with the COFO. It should not be existing anymore. And then on the other hand, you have the Prime Minister assuring CONUPS that they have a majority in Parliament for the COFO law. So which one is it, Stephen? It's a direct question. It's a direct question. Because if the Prime Minister supports the initiators, then she cannot also support CONUPS as well. But the deception, it's a game that is being played, because at one hand, we must get the money, and then on the other hand, we don't support the coho.
And as we continue now in news out of French St. Martin, this evening we will feature the youth that participated in the panel discussion on the topic of the Treaty of Concordia between the Youth Parliament of St. Martin and the junior members of the territory of St. Martin, which was held last Saturday, March the 20th, at the Mairie on French St. Martin in the council room. At the opening of the official debate, moderator Mr. Alex Richard posed several questions to the panel, including how does the panel understand and explain the term of cooperation?
But the point that you're raising is also a point which to me relates to cooperation. How do you guys understand that particular term? Because there's a technical reality to cooperation, but I've heard it on several occasions, to cooperation. How do you guys understand the term to cooperate? Yes?
I believe the term cooperate is when two sides, they have a common goal, and they both work together to achieve that common goal.
Right.
So they both put their ideas together, they discuss, they debate, and come together as one to come with one final solution to whatever problem they might have.
I feel like the pandemic didn't really stop at the border. You know, it's not like the virus stopped and was like, oh, let me go back onto that side.
Right.
It never stopped. It's always there. So I feel like when we say common goal, maybe it's not in the aspects of the two governments because there are two very different entities, but common goal as a people, like just surviving and living together. And everybody goes, the Dutch side and the French side are kind of like complementary. You can't live on one without the other. You go to the French side for this, you go to the Dutch side for that. Nobody just stays on the French side or sticks to the Dutch side. So I feel like when he says common goal, just the common goal of living and surviving.
I'll start with one that could be easy, but yet it could be tricky. The issue of health. How do you deal with people that are sick? Do you think that it's okay that somebody who falls sick on the southern side of the island experiences trouble to get medical treatment on the northern side of the island? Or vice versa? Do you think that that should be?
That should not be because, number one, we're one island, one friendly island. So I think to combat that situation, that the both authorities on French St. Martin and Dutch St. Martin find a way to, let's say, to eliminate that problem. Example, let's say somebody from the Dutch side wants to come to Louis Constant Hospital to get care, they're not going to have a difficulty to do so. Let's say somebody from the French side wants to go to SMMC on the Dutch side, it doesn't have a difficulty to do so. So, example, we know you have some problem with the insurance, with the CMU, etc. So that, let's say, a new insurance for both nations, French and Dutch. So that I think that will help the health situation on St. Martin.
Now, turning to our weather forecast for March 24th, 2021. A drier and more stable air mass has settled over the region, and this will limit shower development over the region. Meanwhile, the Atlantic high-pressure system will maintain gentle to moderate winds across the region. Seas will remain slight to moderate during the next few days. So the outlook through Friday midday, fair to partly cloudy with a few brief showers possible. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, attempted robbery suspect arrested. And I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, in this item out of the police blotter, detectives from the Special Unit Robbery, together with several police patrols, arrested a man with the initials JJA in St. Peter's in the early morning of March the 23rd for his involvement in an attempted robbery on March the 3rd, 2021 in St. Peter's. On the evening of March the 3rd, Police Central Dispatch received several calls about a shooting in St. Peter's, and arriving on the scene, police officers found 2 men who were shot in an urgent need of medical care. The investigation found that 3 masked men showed up at the scene and threatened the victim with a handgun and attempted to rob them of their belongings. The suspects were not successful in robbing the victims and proceeded to fire several shots at the men before fleeing the scene. The suspect's home was searched by police following his arrest, and he remains in police custody pending further investigation. And with that, viewers, it brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.